Welcome back to another super awesome mix. My name is Matt Sidhom, not with my co-founder and co-host Sam Abu Salbi, but again with our other favorite co-host, Jenn Tully. Jenn's joining me again. Hi, Jenn.
Hi there.
So if you guys aren't listening to the Forward Theory, Sam just posted a new episode there and told the world that he just had a new baby. He and his wife are celebrating
Yay!
that. So he's taking a break for this show, and thankfully we have Jenn to fill in, and we've got
Yes.
another new music mix, this time for the month of October. And Jenn, we were just talking before the show. We think we like to pat ourselves on the back here and think we did a really good job.
I think we did a really good job. I do. Sometimes the new music is a little scarce or it's hit or miss. We're kind of scraping around for some new music, and I think we nailed it. I think October's got it all. It's got some bops. It's got some spooky songs. It's got some deep lyrics. I think we nailed it with the October new music mix. And I have to say, I did channel Sam, so I'm hoping that this is representative of maybe some of the songs he might have picked too.
I feel like you did. I think he's going to use some
Okay.
of these when he comes back for the best of. So I think you did a good job there. And just to forewarn everyone, okay, just so we don't look like fools here, there's no Taylor Swift on this mix, but that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean we don't care, okay? So you got to go over to Jenn's show, What Are You Listening To? And you get really a full album review that you guys put up, you and your friend Heather. And I mean, I thought you guys just did an amazing job with that. But we're going to leave the Taylor Swift review to the Taylor Swift superfans.
That is right. And please, there's no way I could have fit it in if I wasn't allowed to just run the mic with Taylor Swift for a good 45 minutes. So, yes, we had to dedicate an entire episode to the life of a showgirl. Yes.
All right. Well, let's get into this mix.
Yes, let's do it. Well, we're going to start with you this week. I cannot wait to hear more about this song because I think this is the perfect song to kick us off. I think this sort of sets the tone. And your first pick is a song called What Is the Reason for It by David Byrne and Ghost Train Orchestra featuring Hayley Williams of Paramore.
Yeah, I put this first because I was like, it's just got this amazing intro and just the rhythm of it and the feel, like just right off the bat. David Byrne and with mostly Ghost Train Orchestra on the whole album has a new album called What Is the Sky, which I think is such an amazing question. And then this one is also a question, what is the reason for it?
Yep.
And like this could have just been an instrumental, right? And
Yeah.
I could have listened to this all day and it was like this is awesome, right? And David Byrne's such an amazing musician. Um but then you get into the lyrics and like it's such an interesting like song because it's about love, but it's in a very sort of like philosophical way. Like what is this thing? It makes us feel happy, it makes us feel sad, it makes us feel fulfilled. Why does this even exist? And I was like, wow, what an amazing, because again, you could just listen to this song and kind of be in a good mood and kind of vibe to it, but like you listen to the lyrics and this is kind of a deep philosophical question. And so I was kind of just blown away on how this existed on two tracks. And we've got a few songs I think in this mix that kind of does that well this month. But yeah, I mean, I had to start off with this one. And this whole album, What Is the Sky, is really cool. There was actually, when I first listened to it, I had like 2 or 3 songs on the new music mix. So I had to kind of whittle it down and I ended up picking this one. But yeah, just another amazing offering from one of America's, I think, maybe greatest musicians just in general.
Seriously, and greatest question askers. David Byrne and Talking
Right.
Heads are like I can think of 100 questions they've asked in their songs. How did I get here? Is this my life? Like there are plenty. They're great at asking questions, and this song is no different. And you mentioned in the beginning, I love the horns. It sounds very like Spanish or even Tejano a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. Like
Yeah.
it just feels like a great party vibe. And I mean, you do. You always get some fantastic lyrics from David Byrne. They're always weird. They're always deep. They're often questions. And this song just brings all of that together and it coalesces so beautifully in this sort of meditation on what is love. Why do we all care so much about it? Why do we all want it? Why do we all need it? Like I think that it's true. It sounds like it's kind of a fun, silly party song, and then you get into those lyrics, and you're like, "Oh, this one's kind of deep." And you have a
Yeah.
couple of songs like that on this on the playlist this week, so I'm excited to keep like trucking through here because we do have some really. I felt like this was a really lyrically deep week. So I thought this was a great way to kick it off. And the song also too is very cinematic, like it could be in a
Oh yeah.
musical or something. Like it's very, very it's a powerful song. I loved this one. I was glad this was our first track.
Well, sometimes love can make you angry, and I
Mm.
think we get some great advice here in track two. Track two is "Don't Look Back in Anger" by Oasis.
And now I know lots of listeners are saying, Jenn, this isn't a
Jen, this
new
is new
song.
music. This
I'm
is
all,
new. Wait a minute.
I know, I'm about to burst everyone's bubble here and say, no, no, no. This is a 30-year-old song, but
But
Oasis is releasing their fantastic second album, What's the Story? Morning Glory, a 30th anniversary edition, came out on October 3rd. And if you've not spent any time with this album, go back. These first two Oasis albums were life changing, right? Definitely Maybe followed like 13 months later with What's the Story? Morning Glory. And it is insane. And I'm not even talking about the lore between the Gallagher brothers, which thank goodness those two brawling bros are back together. And I have to say, me, probably like millions of other people in the world, are shocked that they have not completely imploded on this tour yet. Like the
I heard a friend of mine, I forget, forgetting who it was or what part of the country he was in, but he was telling me he had tickets to this tour, and I said, "Did you buy the insurance?" Because
right.
they always give you the little ticket
Yeah.
insurance on the way out, and I'm always like, "No way, man, I'm going." But this time, like, if I'm buying tickets to an Oasis show, like, I'm gonna go and pay for that insurance because I'm not sure they're gonna make it.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people lost a lot of money in Vegas because I think the smart money was on. They're going to make one, maybe two tour dates, and then
Yeah.
this thing's blowing up. But they have kept it together. So way to go, Gallagher brothers. Maybe there's something to be said for, like 30 years of growth, hopefully 30 years of personal growth to keep these guys together. But, Oasis was sort of like the soundtrack to my early college days. Like just
Mm-hmm.
anywhere you went, an Oasis song was on. And then I think that's also part of the problem, right? Like some of their really popular songs got super overplayed. But that's why I chose Don't Look Back in Anger. I think this is such a good song. I love the way that it opens. Slip inside the eye of your mind. Don't you know you might find a better place to play? Where you're like, just, what? Just hop in there, think about things,
Yeah.
see what's going on. I just, from the very beginning, from the very first time I heard the song, I just thought that they were great. This was one of my favorite Oasis songs immediately, and has stayed that way over the last 30 years. And their reunion was the first time they'd appeared together in over 15 years. I mean, it was serious. The brawl
Yeah.
between the two of
Oh
them,
yeah.
their
Yeah.
fighting on stage is kind of legendary, and it's kind of also too part of what makes Oasis the band that they are. They will talk shit about any and everybody. There's like a famous brawl, with them and Maddie Healy. There's a famous brawl
Mm-hmm.
with them and Screaming Trees. There's a famous brawl. I mean, really anybody. Like if you think anybody they ever toured with hated them. So
It's interesting because I think that instability almost lends itself to the popularity because there's a limited release here, right? It's kind of like
right.
it's like going to this show. Like if they were to roll through Dallas, I would probably pay anything to go just because it's like, when is this ever going to happen again? Like if this
Right.
show really happens, I think, yeah, you have to go. So yeah, I love this song. I mean, I'm with you. And I love the fact that you included something from a remaster as a new music mix because
Yeah.
for a lot of people out there, it probably is new music. They haven't heard this song. But yeah, sometimes there is a new quality to a remaster too, which is also really cool. This has always been one of my favorite Oasis songs. I included it on one of our graduation mixes
Mm,
because, again, when I think of graduation, it's like, think of the good times. Don't look back in anger. So I think
yeah.
this is a great song for that.
It is. And it looks like there's this new 25th anniversary edition is packed with all kinds of extra bonus features, some remasters, stuff like that. So, yes, definitely. If you're not familiar with this Oasis album, go back and check it out. It is worth the listen. All right. Well, next we're going to head into this might be my favorite track on our playlist this week, Matt. Your second pick is a song called Hyperempathy by Cold War Kids.
Yeah, Cold War Kids, a little rock band out of California.
Love.
I always enjoy their stuff. You know, it's a kind of there's so many bands that I sort of discover and rediscover again every time they come out with new stuff, and I think they're in that category. This one is such a cool song because it's got like this description of like a couple fighting
Yep.
and then coming back together, and I think lyrically it does such a good job of describing it physically, kind of where the two are positioned against each other, and then also the thoughts running through his mind and kind of, okay, if don't say anything right now, wait a second, okay, hold on, this you're gonna blow it, you know. And I don't know, for me, I can totally relate to that situation where you're trying to make it right. And I also love the line in here, up to our old tricks, we fall into our same old ways, because that is something I think we all do. And I think the older you get, you start to recognize, or you should, or hopefully you are recognizing the patterns in your own life and trying to break the bad ones and keep the good ones and all the other stuff. But man, I was just blown away by just lyrically where this one was, and just the different levels on which it described the situation and the painting here.
Same exact note. I love Cold War Kids too. They're a favorite band of mine. Have loved them for a long time, even since I was living in California. They were based out of Long Beach at the time, so had the opportunity to see them live a couple times. They're great, but this song is the single best description of a fight that I've ever heard, especially for a long term couple. It
Yes.
is exactly to the point that I listened to it. I was in my car when I was first listening to the mix, about to leave my driveway. You know, this was on while I was getting set up, and the lyrics caught me so much that I stopped the car. I went back inside. I'm like, Patrick, my husband and partner of 27 years. I'm like, you have to hear this. Like, this is the most accurate description of a fight I've ever heard in my life. It really is. And at the same time, it feels like such an anthem. You know,
Yeah.
they're such a big band in terms of their sound. Like they can fill a stadium, yet the lyrics are so personal and vulnerable at times that it almost feels like they're playing in a really small venue. But when we're talking about lines, I just loved it. And maybe this is the very female, you talked about how he's very carefully approaching. It talks about
Mm-hmm.
him like not wanting to mess up the balance. And I love the line where it says, "You've got that look in your eye like you would kill me if you could. Like I'm standing between you and who you might have been in a perfect world." Like, yeah, I
Yeah.
felt that. I mean, I know I've looked at Patrick like that before. I felt that though. I'm like, I just think that they really, and the song takes you on the full journey, right? It takes you from like the
It
moment they
does.
start arguing to the
Yes.
moment they kind of like recover.
Yeah. And no, it is. It's you know, spoiler alert. It's a happy ending,
It
but
is a happy
it's
ending.
no. I just thought that was so well done, and
Me
like
too.
listen to it a few times, right?
Yep.
Because I think you're gonna pick up a few nuances each time. It's just like, oh, that's such a great little detail. Like, yeah, if songs are just like 3 minute novels, I mean, this one is just so excellently written. I mean, I was just
Agreed.
blown away.
Me too. I love it. New favorite.
All right, track 4. It is "Play Your Guitar" by Electric Guest.
This song is just a bop. I just like this one. I like this band. I like this song. It was just fun, as I was listening through some of the new music and kind of trying to make decisions on which 6 tracks I wanted to bring. This one just kept rising to the top. I kept thinking, I bet a lot of people don't know Electric Guest. Maybe I shouldn't include them. And then I thought, you know what? I like this one. And that's just the reason to include them, that maybe a lot of people don't know them. But they have a new album coming out called 10K, and it'll be out on October 10th. So this Friday it comes out. Well, when we're recording, it comes out on October 10th. And Electric Guest is a Los Angeles based band. They formed around 2011. This is their fourth studio album, and their the three studio albums prior to this are also really good. They released one in 2012, one in 2017, one in 2019. And I just think that they're such an interesting sounding band. They always have like kind of cool lyrics that have sometimes a double entendre, sometimes a hidden meaning. I discovered them on a song from their second album. Their second album is called Plural, and there was a song called Dear to Me. It's like a very sweet, soft kind of song. It's different than this. But I just loved this one. And I think that for me, this song, they have a line that keeps repeating that says, play your guitar, now I'm vibrating higher, is
Mm-hmm.
kind of the refrain that repeats during
Yeah.
the song. And to me, that just is saying like, music raises the vibes always, right? Like if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling mad, if you're feeling angry or disappointed, I feel like that can be turned around and you can get back into like a higher vibration way of thinking, a more positive place just by turning on a song. And that really
Yeah.
resonated with me. And I think that this song is a good example of that. You do feel good. It's like, I think it's an easy song to listen to. It's not, super challenging or deep, other than, yeah, you know what? Music is great for lots of reasons. And one of them is that it can raise the vibes, it can change the mood. And so, definitely, if you're not familiar with Electric Guest, check them out. They're super cool and really easy to listen to. And I feel like it's a band name you can drop that a lot of people aren't going to know. And you're like, oh, yeah, yeah, I've been.
It's
Been
a
listening
very,
to
yes.
Electric Guest, and people are
Oh
like,
yeah.
"Oh, Electric Guest."
I
So
do
here, you
like
can
that.
sound cool a little bit, right? That's what we're here for. Keep the old folks sounding cool.
Yeah, speaking of that, I was not familiar with them, but I thought this one was great. And, it says play your guitar, and you can hear kind of the steady guitar in the back, and the guitar kind of has a rock feel to it, but it's got this bass line in it that just
Mm-hmm.
picks up the energy, right? So
Yep.
it would be interesting if you drop that bass line, how it almost becomes like a folk song in a way, right? And then you added that bass line and it just takes it to another level. And I think the lyrics talk about the future, and I feel like with the bass line and everything, it almost sounded like something from the future.
Yeah, that's a
So I
good
thought
point.
that was really well done, how they kind of laid that out both lyrically and sonically. So yeah, really cool pick. I definitely want to go in and listen to more of their stuff and see what else they can do, because just by this one you could tell from a composition standpoint they can probably do quite a bit.
Yeah, they do. They're great, and they're great at arranging their songs as well. The way they lay out a song, I think, is really unique and cool. So definitely. All right, next on the playlist, we're heading down to a song called "You Know My Name" by Foxy Shazam, featuring Corey Feldman? Question
Yes, the one and only
mark.
Corey Feldman. All right, so let's talk about Foxy Shazam. They are classified as a glam rock band. I got introduced to them because I watch a show on HBO called Peacemaker, starring John Cena, based on the comic book, the DC comic. And it's done by James Gunn, who's done the
Okay.
Guardians of the Galaxy movie. He just did Superman.
Yeah.
And both season one and season two, he does these elaborate title sequences where there's this like really unique choreographed dance with all the actors. And in season two, they do it to a song called "Oh Yeah" by Foxy Shazam, which I just love. Like I listen to this song. I look forward to the title sequence every week of this show. And it's anyway, so that's a great song. It kind of got me going down the rabbit hole with that band. And they're really cool. And they just put out this new single that features Corey Feldman. And when I heard this song originally, I thought it had elements of like a TV sitcom theme. And
Yeah.
I thought the inclusion of Corey Feldman was almost like this kind of shout out to like a child star kind of thing, that you know my name, right? And you know these like just one piece of me, but we don't really know who these people become as they become adults, right? And this is kind of the sort of the box they get put in. And so that's how I interpreted the song when I heard it. But then the more I
Okay.
read up on it, they were doing this homage to the king of pop, Michael Jackson.
Yep.
And of course, Corey Feldman was like friends with Michael Jackson. And if you've ever seen him perform, because he has music of his own, he dances a lot like Michael Jackson. He tries to sound like him, all of those things. So they brought him along. He actually does not detract from the song. So if you're looking at this and going, why do I want to listen to a song featuring Corey Feldman? it is not going to, it's a good song. Like, it's a very listenable song. You're not even going to notice Corey Feldman on the track, really. But that's why he was included. And I think it just on a lot of levels, it's really well done, but they're a super fun band to listen to.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm joking about Corey Feldman just because, yes, he is having like a moment on social media a little bit now too, where he's like posting some of his own stuff. And for me, it is not very great.
It's not great. It's not great. Like, it's not even for you. Like, just generally, it's not great.
That's so good. So and honestly, I love this song so much that when I went back, it wasn't until when I was putting my show notes together that I was like, Corey Feldman was in there. Like, and I did the same thing. I had to understand like why Corey Feldman was in there. But yeah, now it all came together. Now that I have the explanation that this was sort of like an homage to Michael Jackson, where I think it was the story is like the lead singer had a dream that Michael Jackson came and told him the elements of of a perfect pop song. And so that's how this song sort of came into being. And I'm like, okay. And from the very first note, this song is a mood booster, right? Like you immediately are like ready to go. It's happy. It's something you could put on at a party and everybody would be immediately like, oh yeah, it's time to party. And I also too felt like this was a note that I had, like, this is the October mix. So I think it is fair to have some like spooky or Halloween type songs on the playlist. And to that end, this song kind of sounds like it could be from like the Rocky Horror Picture Show or something, like it's very like it's fun like that. And so that's kind of another reason I thought, you know what, there is a place for this song on this playlist. And again, I think you're 100% right. Foxy Shazam is great. And you don't even really notice Corey Feldman. Like, no disrespect to Corey Feldman. Like, I'm a Goonies gal. Like, I watched Feldman and Haim. I love The Lost Boys. Like, all of the things. And I'm not a fan of his music. So don't not listen to this song because he's attached to it, because you're 100% right. He does not detract. I mean, I don't know that he adds a lot either, but he doesn't detract from the song. So
that's right. Totally agree. Agree. All right, your next pick. It is Better Days by Yellow Card.
How happy am I to hear from Yellow Card again? Like, I mean, I kind of put them away, and this was one where I kind of channeled Sam a little bit. I feel like I would have a backer in Sam with Yellow Card. So, Better Days is the upcoming 11th studio album by Yellow Card, and that is also set to release on October 10th. I feel like most people know this band from their major label debut album, Ocean Avenue, and the title track off of that album, which it's still such a great song. When I found this, I kind of went into a Yellow Card, rabbit hole, and my rabbit hole stopped where it always does after the Ocean Avenue album, just because I love that one so much. Like, I think I'm going to listen to the whole catalog again. They had some great songs, and then that album is just so strong that's always where I land. But this is a band that's been around since the late 90s. I think they're from Florida, if I remember right, maybe Jacksonville, Florida. But they started in 1997. They all met in it wasn't a music school necessarily, but I think it was like a college for the arts. And I love that they got their name. Anybody that knows me knows where my husband played soccer in college and after. And so I love Yellow Card. I always thought that was a great name. And it turns out that they were all friends when they were young. And so whenever somebody did something stupid at a party, such as, spilled a beer on the carpet, they cited soccer laws and gave the offender a yellow card for a party foul.
I like that. Yes.
So that's their party foul yellow card. So I love that. One thing that I never ever noticed before, and I am not sure how I missed it, but one of the founders and lead guitarist of the band was a guy named Ben Harper. And I was like, but it's not like Steal My Kisses from You, Ben Harper, right? Like, I went back and it was like, remember when we did the episode with Lainey Wilson and her dad's name was Brian, and I was super confused because I'm like, wait a minute, like her dad was one of the Beach Boys?
Can't be Brian Wilson's daughter, right?
I'm like, weren't those other sisters in Wilson Phillips? How'd this gal get left out? Like, that was kind of the moment I had with this. I'm like, how is she
30 years younger than the other daughters? What is happening?
I know. So I had that moment a little bit whenever I saw Ben Harper. But, I think that this band also, too, like they helped define that sort of pop punk sound that came, during that was so of the moment. with bands like, Blink 182 and Sum 41 and Fallout Boy and 311. And I feel like now I'm reading like a list of Sam's favorite bands. But
I know. Yeah,
um,
this is perfect.
I just think that this song reminds me of good times, and it's Better Days is a great name. And I think if you were a fan of that Ocean Avenue album, this feels like a real return to that to me. It feels like they're using the same formula, the same sensibility, to kind of get back to that sound. So I'm super excited for this whole album, and I love this song. I'm happy. Welcome back, Yellow Card. I missed you.
Yeah, I totally agree on the throwback sound because I mean I immediately recognized the name right from the '90s, right? But then the sound of it, I was like, this still sounds good, and it does sound like a '90s alternative song, so it's going to be right in that wheelhouse. Travis Barker gets a writing credit on this one, which is
Yeah.
also interesting. And you're right, like both just lyrically and musically, it just sounds good. It's gonna make you feel good. Like this is just yeah, it's a mood changer. And yeah, for me and for our other '90s music fans out there, I think you're gonna love the fact that oh my god, yeah, Yellow Card. Oh, they're still making music. Hey, this sounds like kind of what they did before. That's awesome. Yeah, which is always cool.
Yeah, it is. It's nice to have just like a return to a band that you loved and have them sound the same. I'm all for like growth and a departure every now and again, but this was fun to just go back to good old Yellow Card
Good
classic.
old Yellow Card.
All right, our next track on the playlist is a song called Dang by Rainbow Kitten Surprise.
Yeah, Rainbow Kitten Surprise. I think they've been on the mix before. Or at least they've kind of been. I don't know. Someone Sam and I've talked about, maybe even offline. But they're out of North Carolina. I think they just have a really cool vibe to them, right? And it's pretty straightforward, kind of alt rock. I love the line in here. I've been working on a project. It's called You. Um,
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a neat line, like semi romantic sort of thing, but not overly. Um, yeah, I mean they've got a new album called Bones coming out this year, and like I've always enjoyed their past work, and I think it's just kind of a good. They're a good rock band. So there's nothing too deep here lyrically or musically, but I think it's just really well done.
I do too, and it's timely that these guys dropped on our playlist because for those informed listeners and music fans, some will know that weekend one of ACL Festival just happened, and so I had the privilege of seeing Rainbow Kitten Surprises set on Sunday.
Nice.
So it was great to see them live. So fun, so playful, just a really cool band to see. And I think that the lyrics in this one are just so clever and playful. They have a line that says, pedal to the pedigree, metal to the medicine, better than the beta, please. And I'm like, you know what? That's great. They've got a lot packed into that. It sounds good. It like
Yeah,
the meaning is kind of quirky and fun. Like, and I think that set of lyrics kind of sums up who they are. They're just about having a good time. They're
yeah,
like they are very playful. They are very fun. I think that this is for sure a band worth exploring if you don't know them. You may not love every song, but you're going to like a lot of them. That's what I say
yeah,
about this band. Like, you might not like listen, like find them to have like no skip albums all the time, but you're going to find 3 or 4 tracks that you love from Rainbow Kitten Surprise. So glad to see them feature on this month's playlist.
All right, track 8, and this gave me immediate flashbacks to The Battle Season 2, where we talked about true crime songs, because the title here is This is the Killer Speaking by The Last Dinner Party.
Yeah, so this song will be on their new album. It's called From the Pyre, releasing on October 17th. And this is only their second studio album. So, Last Dinner Party are a British indie rock band. They're from London. They formed around 2021. And I first discovered this band last year in 2024 with their debut album, Prelude to Ecstasy. And they had a song on there called Sinner, that is really very different than this song, but also an equally good song. And I thought, you know what? Since it's our October new music mix, I've got to like drop something for those that are into making a
Yes.
Halloween playlist, right? You can only
Yeah.
put Thriller and Monster Mash and Heads Will Roll on a
That's,
playlist so many
that's all you
times.
need. And then go
Yeah.
back to Monster Mash. And then go
No,
right back to Monster
I
Mash. Okay.
can't. I'm like a stickler now. I'm a big snob about the Halloween music. I'm like, yeah, let's get creative, people. So here's your song. This is your Halloween mix song that is not expected in terms of one that people listen to all the time. And this one gives me like Bloodletting, the vampire song, by Concrete Blonde. It gives me
Mm-hmm.
those kind of vibes. But then it has this like mood change in the chorus where it sounds like it kind of goes upbeat for a second and then it goes right back to the spooky vibes. So I just felt there was like a lot here for this song.
I agree. And I kind of love that it kind of went back and forth with that. I think it kind of added to the creepiness a little bit
Yeah.
because, it almost, the lyrics got darker as the sound got a little more pop sounding, which was,
Yep.
so I could see this being used in, like a movie or something in kind of a dark comedy sort of way, or like an American Psycho type movie, right? Where it's like
Hmm.
they really did try to um, bring lightness to these awful things going on screen. So yeah, that's kind of what this evoked in my head. But it was really, I mean, really well done. I think this is an interesting band. I mean, if this is my introduction to them, I really want to get into it because it's like, what a cool way to present like this lyric, and it's a really interesting story too, right?
Yeah.
Like she's not happy with this partner and or maybe soon to be former partner, and it's kind of like she's making it known. So I think really
Yeah.
well done.
Yeah, and the song, I think, the switch back and, from kind of cheery to spooky, it makes it feel unpredictable and erratic a little bit, which I think too, again, like you said, adds to the creepy factor. But yeah, this is another band I recommend checking out. If you aren't familiar, listen to that first album and see if it makes you want more. I think it might. So check out their first album, which again I'm remembering the name here. Prelude to Ecstasy is the first, and then From the Pyre is coming out on the 17th. So, little plug there for Last Dinner Party. I think they're a cool new band. All right, next on our playlist is Dream Destroyer by Sloan.
All right, Sloan is a Canadian rock band that's been around since 1991. I mean, this always blows me away when I find a band that's been around this long, and I'm just now hearing them. So I expect Dado Three Girls is one of our like most loyal listeners, and he's Canadian. So I expect he's going to message us and tell us like, okay, you should listen to this by Sloan or something, or he's going to
Great.
tell me he's never heard of them. I don't know. But I thought these guys, I got like country vibes from this song, and even a little bit of like Fleetwood Mac, but the driving guitar in it kind of gave it a little bit more of an edge. It was just a really cool sound. I was really having trouble kind of pinning it, but it's not just sort of straight ahead one genre. I feel like it could appeal to a lot of different people. So I thought this was really cool. Also really cool. The new album's called Based on the Bestseller, which I think is a really
Ah.
cool album name, and just shocked that there hasn't been used already. Um, so yeah, so I just thought this was a really cool sounding band. I'm excited to get into their stuff and excited to hear this new album as well, because if this is indicative of what's on there, I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm with you. It was funny. I picked up something totally different from this, though. Same sort of era, maybe, and time
Mm-hmm.
period. But to me, this sounded like 70s glam rock. It sounded like T
Mm.
Rex. Like I was
Okay. Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
20th
Okay.
Century Boy,
Yes.
right? Like think about that. Like the more I listened, I'm like, this is like like a modern day take on 20th Century Boy
Yeah.
by T Rex. So I actually loved it, and it was one of those things too. I'm like, oh, this is a new band I've never heard of. I'm like, ooh. Except they've been around since I was in high school. Like,
Or they're
okay,
older than the Oasis song I put on
right.
here. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did I miss these guys for 34 years and 14 albums?
Yeah.
But apparently I did.
We
So,
got some
yeah,
work to do.
we do.
We
We
got
got to
some work
catch
to
up.
do.
Got to
But we
catch up
say
on our
this all the time on
Sloan.
the show. Like, it just shows you how much music is
Yeah.
out there and how many great bands there are out there. And I think we're very lucky with this show that we get to kind of discover things like this.
For sure. And this was one that I'm excited like you to kind of dig a little bit more into. That and that's the good news too when you discover that there's a band that's been around forever that you don't know about is you've got tons of material. Like we've got 14 albums, Matt. That's going to keep us
Yeah,
busy for a
I
while.
know. I know it. All right. So this band you've probably heard of. Track 10 is The Key of Victory by the Lemonheads.
Yeah, so this is a song from their forthcoming album called Love Chant, and this releases on October 24th. And I guess I spent a lot of time in the 90s here this week. I didn't really realize it until we're like listening to this collectively, but I must be feeling nostalgic here. But this band came into my purview. Like I'd heard of them a little bit. They had I think they had probably 4 or 5 albums out before I really got into them. But their 6th studio album released in 1993, and it was called "Come On, Feel the Lemonheads." And if you don't know it, this is another one I encourage you to kind of go back and take a listen. Like if 90s core is a thing, then this album is the soundtrack for it, right? Or
Mm,
that album, the
yeah.
Come On Feel the Lemonheads. I think it's so on the nose with sort of that 90s apathy that we were all feeling. Grunge is kind of around, but well, it's not around, it's having a moment for sure. But I think that this band just kind of came onto the scene and summed up everything a lot of us were feeling. They formed in 1986 in Boston. And like I said, Love Chant's going to be their 11th studio album. Although, really, the only consistent member has been the lead singer, Evan Dando. And I mean, we spoke a little bit about the Oasis brothers. I think Evan Dando is kind of up there too in terms of like, problematic artists that are maybe not the best people. Or have some struggles. Like he's
Yeah.
in a different, like he's struggled with addiction. Which has led to like some erratic behavior. I think that anybody who ever knew or worked with him found him to be a very dislikable person, like
Oh,
by all general accounts. And I think a lot of that was fueled by addiction, but I think it also speaks volumes that the only consistent member of this band since it formed has been Evan Dando. So he's
you
kind of
know,
a me, myself, and I production.
I and I wonder if that's just like, man, that's how great that guy is that he could be completely unlikable pretty much universally. And yet it's like still churning out albums, still touring, like still has a career in music. Like, yeah, I guess you got to be really good if you're going to be that unlikable.
Yeah, and I mean, I was trying to look around and see, like, okay, has he cleaned up his act? Is this sort of like now he's sober, and this is kind of his return and
Mm-hmm.
reintroduction to the mainstream? And I
Not
don't.
so much, huh?
Maybe not so much. It says
Yeah.
as this was a quote I found. As of October 2025, Dando admits to using alcohol, marijuana, and LSD, despite being off harder street drugs like heroin and cocaine. He justifies his use of psychedelics and cannabis, stating, "I don't believe God meant us to be sober." So
Oh.
there we go. So take that with you into your day. That's what I'm going to tell my boss when I roll
What
up
an
to work.
odd religious force field to throw
Right?
up, right? You don't get that very often, right? You sometimes get the, well, no, God wanted us to have 9 wives, right? Or something
Right.
like that. But this God doesn't want us to be sober, right?
No,
Officer. Yeah,
he
that's
doesn't.
why.
Yeah. Well, and
It's part of my religion.
I like that he drew the line at heroin and cocaine, right? Like that's the line he won't cross right there. Like, oh,
We all make
okay.
compromises. We
We
all make
do. We're
compromises.
all just trying to get through the day. But I don't know, maybe despite or maybe because of all of his erratic behavior, the song is really interesting. I think like listen with the lyrics on and decide if you can separate the art from the problematic artist. We talk about that a lot. So I say give this one a try. It's interesting. See what you think, and then if you do like it, I do encourage you while we're waiting for Love Chant to go back and check out that Come On Feel the Lemonheads album. There are some really great songs on there. All right, we're trucking towards the end here. Track 11 on this week's playlist is Fall in Love with Me by Arthur Buck.
Yeah, Arthur Buck is a duo made up of Joseph Arthur and Peter Buck from the band REM.
Oh.
So, yeah, this one, okay, so I listened to this one and I was like, wow, this sounds really familiar. And now that I've said REM, Jen, I want you to go back and listen to Pop Song 89 from the
Uh-huh.
REM album Green,
Know it well.
because this is the same song. And I looked around to see, like, did he sample? And granted, it's Peter Buck. He was in REM. He probably has the rights to this. What? I don't care, right? Like, I'm not asking for a lawsuit, but I just think it's interesting is that when I looked around about this album or this duo, nobody was like, yeah, this sounds exactly like Pop Song 89 from Great. Now, I liked Pop Song 89. I like this song. I think it sounds great. Joseph Arthur is the vocalist here. He's got some, we talked about October and Halloween's coming up. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he's got kind of a creepy voice here, and the lyrics are a little creepy, and it's pop sounding enough to kind of offset that. But yeah, it's a really I think it's a cool song. I think it's really well done here, and it sounds different enough from what I'm dubbing the original, which was Pop Song 89.
The original.
But I think it's really cool. This is their second album together, and it sounds like this is going to be kind of Peter Buck's new project now that kind of REM is done.
Yeah, so this is all new news to me because I did not make the REM connection, and certainly the lead singer, you said his name is Joseph Arthur, I think,
Yes.
sounds very different than Michael Stipe. So I
Yeah.
think you do get something unique there. But the track that I referenced, now of course I can't unhear that it sounds like Pop Song 89 now that you've said it. But when I was listening to it last night before I knew of the REM connection, it reminded me a little bit. I'm gonna take you back to another like 90s classic here. But do you remember the song "A Girl Like You" by Edwyn Collins? I
Yes. Oh,
never
yeah,
met
yeah,
a
yeah.
girl
Yes.
like you
Yeah.
before. You know, that one, that it kind of gave me vibes of that. And I
Yes.
loved that song. That was
Yeah.
like a,
That was a
kind
very
of a
big hit.
one hit wonder,
Oh,
but
yeah. Yeah.
loved that song. And this song kind of gave me that feeling again. And I was like, oh, I like this. This is reminding me of that. And yeah, I wrote the same note too. This one sounds kind of poppy, spooky. And it's like, I don't know, the sort of the filter that they're running the vocals through make it sound a little like, menacing. And then he has a line where he calls the person he's singing about an elegant vandal. And I'm like, that's so great. That's almost like a Taylor Swift line, like
That
elegant
is.
vandal.
Yes. Yeah.
I
That's well
liked it.
done. All right, let's bring it home. Your last pick, and I don't know. I feel like you definitely channeled Sam with this one. This is One of the Greats by Florence and the Machine.
Yes, I that was my one promise to Sam as he stepped into fatherhood, that I would carry the Florence torch until he returned. So we're all anxiously awaiting the sixth studio album, which will release on Halloween. On the last new music mix, I featured "Everybody Scream," which is the title track from the new album, and I think we are all just like trucking to get to Halloween so we can get the rest of this album. We don't even have a track list, like other than these two singles that have been released. Everything is just like track 3, track 4, track 5. It doesn't even
It's
have
like a
titles.
new season of Stranger Things, right?
Right. Waiting. But I think, this song it's a very different in tone than Everybody Scream. The lyrics are very dark and deep in this one, which Florence does so well. She has a great line that says, "And with each bedraggled breath, I knew I came back from the dead to show you how it's done." And you're like, that's right. I came back from the dead to show you how it's
Yeah.
done. Boss, that's some boss stuff right there. But I do like that she goes there. She's not afraid to say the things that I think other people like say in their inside voice. I think she says out loud, like the things that we all keep inside of our head, especially as females. I think she voices them, and she does it beautifully with that powerful voice that she has. I do believe that she's one of the greats. I love that she took this song, and called it one of the greats, which is sort of like her trying to figure out the formula to become that, and is it worth it, is kind of what I take away from the song at the end of
Mm-hmm.
the day. But I just think she's so good at just saying what's on her mind, and doing it without fear. And the evolution, we talk about a band growing over the course of albums. I think she really has. Her sound sounds really similar, but the braveness and boldness that I think she approaches her lyrics with have really, I think, increased and grown over across her catalog as she continues to make new music. So yes, This is one that I know Sam and I are going to be happy, happy kids on Halloween when we finally get the new Florence album.
Yeah, I mean, she's vocally is just amazing to where I wasn't even really paying attention or couldn't even like hear any of the instruments going on in the background. Like it really is just about her voice
Yeah,
and the lyrics she's singing here. And I mean, it's just remarkable. And I do think it's really cool. Like, well, first of all, I think to be this great, you do have to have a certain level of confidence, right? And she's
yeah.
been doing this a long time. And I just like that she says that, which is usually just reserved for like rappers, right? like,
Or DJs shouting
or
out themselves.
DJs, right? Yeah, shouting out themselves. But no, so I think that's really cool in this genre to see something like that, and like you said, especially from a female, because you don't get that very much either. And the line near the end, it must be nice to be a man and make boring music just because you can, right?
Yep.
And she's just like, it's almost she was kind of calling out like she has to be especially great to kind of get recognition, whereas somebody else could just keep churning out stuff that isn't great and still get a lot of credit for it. So really cool. Like, and again, it's just carried by her voice, right? Like that really is the big difference maker here. So yeah, great way to end this month's new music mix.
Agreed with a powerful female voice that
Yes.
is Florence.
Well, Jenn, thank you again for filling in for Sam here on our new music mix. Okay. And so for everyone out there, you can join us on social media on Instagram and threads at Super Awesome Mix and on YouTube at Super Awesome Mix. Yeah, we've got more mixes ahead of us. So we will get to work on those. And for Jenn, this is Matt, and we'll see you next time.